Hello, today we discuss about an interesting story. Imagine a company builds a machine. The machine is so powerful, so capable, so intelligent. At the end, company decided not to release it. Not because it is not working, not because it found some errors or bugs, but the company was concerned about the powerful capability the machine would be able to create. That is the story we discuss today. The story about Anthropic's Mythos-class models. At the end of the session, you will understand what is Mythos, how Mythos different from other AI models, and why Anthropic decided not to release it, and how they could be able to resolve the issue of AI research behind this work, and why they came with the model called Fable, and at the end, what is the moral of this story. I am Dr. C.B. Abraham. Here we have a maze. Suppose we want to start from here and we want to reach here. Suppose we ask this to ChatGPT to provide the solution, it would be able to give the step-by-step process. Start from here, take the left, take the right, and if you find any dead end, come back and continue that way. Step-by-step process. Remember, it gives only instruction, no action. The action is to be taken by us. Instead of a chatbot, suppose an AI agent comes into the picture. It will not only provide the instruction, but it will act. Physically, it could be able to provide how we will be able to come to the initial stage and could be able to navigate left or right, and if it finds a dead end, how to take the another route, and finally it could be able to reach the solution. That is AI agent. Not just response to the chat, but actually performing the action. Instead of this maze, suppose we have a number of such mazes. The problem becomes much more large, much more complex. Instead of maze, suppose this is a software system, power grid, flight reservation system, such a huge network. And there can be many issues, many paths, many problems, and that type of problems could be able to be identified by such powerful agents. And this is the framework in which Mythos work. Therefore, Mythos is not supposed to give just a response to a chat, but it could be able to analyze huge networks and could be able to identify any errors, any pathways, any unexplored areas, and analysis which have never been done, and it could be able to give a proper feedback of the working of the system. And that is the capability Mythos is trying to provide. Consider an organization's digital infrastructure. We could be able to consider that digital infrastructure as something like a maze consisting of the logins, the databases, different servers, APIs, networks, firewalls, and passwords, and consider this as such a maze. And a human analyst could be able to identify and could be able to vouch for the validity of it, and could be able to analyze if there are any mistakes or errors involved over there. But an AI agent work in a much different level. The scope and the capabilities of the AI agent will be much huge. It could be able to identify any of these nodes and could be able to explore are there any issues involved over there, any bugs, any vulnerabilities, anything which was not found, and this way it could be able to identify, and you could be able to also explore many routes which have never been explored. And this is very much important in protecting the network from outside hacking, etc. But the same identification of vulnerabilities or bugs can also be used by unauthorized person to attack the system. A typical software based on the directions, guidelines, try to identify a solution, and once it finds a solution, it stops. Here we have an agent. The objective of the agent is to identify any vulnerabilities, any errors, any bugs and any issues and go on trying to identify that. In order for the safeguard or the defense of the system, identification of these vulnerabilities is an extremely good step. But identification of the same vulnerabilities can also provide some scope for malicious attack, and someone could be able to identify the issues existing in the system and could be able to make it much more prone to malicious attacks. And this is a major concern. Not only the identification, but by allowing the facility to everyone could be able to create much more issues. Therefore, here we are talking not about the capability, smartness and intelligence AI could be able to bring, but the question is that whether that capability should be made available to everyone. Therefore, it is not an intelligence issue, but it is becoming a governance issue. That is what Anthropic tried to do by not allowing this particular facility to everyone. That is the reason why Anthropic did not everyone. Though the capability, the smartness and intelligence it showed was extraordinarily brilliant. The Anthropic decided not to release the Mythos-class models because of the governance issues they anticipated. Then they come with an idea called Project Glasswing. As per this, they brought in top AI companies and organizations, and within the restricted environment with proper guardrails, they made available the facilities, capabilities of these Mythos-class models so that they could be able to work on it. As per this Project Glasswing, companies like Amazon Web Services, Anthropic, Apple, Broadcom, Cisco, CrowdStrike, Google, JP Morgan Chase, the Linux Foundation, Microsoft, Nvidia, Palo Alto Networks, etc. were brought in, and correspondingly they could work using these Mythos-class models. And during this short time, they could be able to come with many superb results. And here is some of the findings. Cybersecurity vulnerabilities reproduction, Mythos Preview 83.1, and they call it as Mythos Preview. And this is a comparison with Mythos Preview and Opus 4.6. Though the capabilities of Mythos-class models were made available to the participants of Project Glasswing, Anthropic wanted to have this facility made available to general public, business associates and other people, because they felt that this model is very good and the facility of that should be made available to everyone. But at the same time, Anthropic was concerned about the cybersecurity vulnerabilities. Therefore, they came with a model called Fable, which they put it as the general public version of the Mythos, wherein which all the capabilities of Mythos was restored, but at the same time the cybersecurity vulnerabilities part they kept apart so that that part will not be creating an issue. And this Fable 5 could be able to made available to general public so that the problems could be able to be solved. And here the evaluation of the Claude Fable 5 and Claude Mythos 5, and in comparison with other models, whether it is agentic coding or knowledge work or spatial reasoning, legal, multidisciplinary reasoning, etc., it could be able to come with much better efficiency than other models like Claude, Opus, GPT, Gemini, etc. Then as far as the cost is involved, mean cost per task, it comes to be little higher side corresponding to other models. And with respect to agentic coding, the response is provided in comparison with the Claude, Opus and GPT 5.5. And it also comes with many solutions which were not possible earlier. For example, the Pokemon Fire Red could be able to work based on just some screenshots, and the system could be able to come with the solutions much easier way with very few inputs. And also we have other case demonstrations wherein which the simulation of the solar system and predicts when a solar eclipse happens could be able to be done by this Fable 5. Then other protein complex case studies and many such cases are provided showcasing the capabilities of Fable. Therefore, Fable is a crowd-facing version of Mythos where the vulnerabilities and cybersecurity concerns are properly safeguarded and the much more secure environment is provided and the capability will not be misused, and that is what Anthropic felt. We come to the end of the story. At first glance, the story looks like the story of two models. The Mythos, which could be able to work somewhat nicely, because of some issues it has to be kept at the back. Then the emergence of Fable as a people facing version of the Mythos. But if we have a closer look at this, the story is not about two models. It is about the emergence of AI. Till now, AI was concerned about the capability, the power, the intelligence it could be able to demonstrate. AI is not just an intelligence issue, it is becoming a governance issue. AI from intelligence to governance, and that is the phase presently we are undergoing. Thank you for watching. Hope that you like this video. If so, please like, share and subscribe. See you in the next video. Until then, truly AI.